Hello again, and welcome back to year 3 of the Religious Education Initiative. This is week 42. This is day 1. We're still reading through 1 Samuel or 1 Kingdoms. This is chapter 13. So last time we saw Saul begin to make war on the Philistines, seeking to overthrow their domination of the Israelite people. He called the muster of the people at Gilgal and waited for Samuel to come. When Samuel was delayed, we saw Saul take it upon himself to offer the sacrifice, lest the people should abandon him. And when Samuel arrived, we saw Samuel admonish Saul for doing what he should not have done, telling him that if he had waited upon the Lord, his rule would have been established forever. But because he did not, but acted in pride and arrogance and independence, the Lord was going to take the kingdom from him and give it to someone else. We further heard that not many people stayed with Saul anyway, even though he ran ahead and did the sacrifice to keep them from running away. We saw that almost none of the people had swords because the Philistines had effectively maintained a weapons embargo against the Israelites. Only Saul and Jonathan, his son, were armed for war. So this time we'll see how Saul's war against the Philistines goes. It says. Now, this is verse 23 of chapter 13, and then moving on to verse 14. Sorry, this is the last verse of chapter 13, and then we'll read from chapter 14. So, now a garrison of the Philistines had gone out to the pass of Michmash. One day, Jonathan, son of Saul, said to the young man who carried his armor, "Come, let us go over to the Philistine garrison on the other side." But he did not tell his father. Saul was staying in the outskirts of Gibeah under the pomegranate tree that is at Migron. The troops that were with him were about 600 men, along with Ahijah, son of Ahitub, Ichabod's brother, son of Phinehas, son of Eli, the priest of the Lord in Shiloh, carrying an ephod. Now, the people did not know that Jonathan had gone. In the pass by which Jonathan tried to go over to the Philistine garrison, there was a rocky crag on one side and a rocky crag on the other side. The name of the one was Bozez, and the name of the other was Senech. One crag rose on the north in front of Michmash, and the other on the south in front of Gibeah. Jonathan said to the young man who carried his armor, "Come, let us go over to the garrison of these uncircumcised. It may be that the Lord will act for us, for nothing can hinder the Lord from saving by many or by few." His armor-bearer said to him, "Do all that your mind inclines to. I am with you. As your mind is, so is mine." Then Jonathan said, "Now we will cross over to those men, and will show ourselves to them. If they say to us, 'Wait until we come to you,' then we will stand still in our place, and we will not go up to them. But if they say, 'Come up to us,' then we will go up, for the Lord has given them into our hand. That will be the sign for us." So both of them showed themselves to the garrison of the Philistines. And the Philistines said, "Look, Hebrews are coming out of the holes where they've hidden themselves." The men of the garrison hailed Jonathan and his armor-bearers, saying, "Come up to us, and we will show you something." Jonathan said to his armor-bearer, "Come up after me, for the Lord has given them into the hand of Israel." Then Jonathan climbed up on his hands and feet, with his armor-bearer following after him. The Philistines fell before Jonathan, and his armor-bearer coming after him killed them. In that first slaughter, Jonathan and his armor-bearer killed about 20 men within an area about half a furlong long in an acre of land. There was a panic in the camp and in the field and among all the people. The garrison and even the raiders trembled, the earth quaked, and it became a very great panic. Saul's lookouts in Gibeah of Benjamin were watching as the multitude was surging back and forth. Then Saul said to the troops that were with him, "Call the roll and see who has gone from us." When they had called the roll, Jonathan and his armor-bearer were not there. Saul said to Ahijah, "Bring the ark of God here." For at that time the ark of God went with the Israelites. While Saul was talking to the priest, the tumult in the camp of the Philistines increased more and more, and Saul said to the priest, "Withdraw your hand." Then Saul and all the people who were with him rallied and went into the battle, and every sword was against the other, so that there was a very great confusion. Now the Philistines who previously had been with the Philistines and had gone up with them into the camp turned and joined the Israelites who were with Saul and Jonathan. Likewise, when all the Israelites who had gone into hiding in the hill country of Ephraim heard that the Philistines were fleeing, they too followed closely after them in the battle. So the Lord gave Israel the victory that day. The battle passed beyond Bethaven, and the troops with Saul numbered altogether about 10,000 men. The battle spread out over the hill country of Ephraim. Okay, so we have to remember where we left this last time. Last time, Saul started with 3,000 men, but as the Philistines came up with a multitude, like it said, more than could be counted, more than the sand of the seashore, and lots of chariots and lots of cavalry, everyone was running away. A lot of the Israelites were crossing the Jordan, going into Gilead, saying like, well, I guess Palestine's lost to us. It could be the Philistine country, which is actually where Palestine gets its name. It's the country of the Philistines. A lot of people were hiding in caves and in tombs and in holes and in cisterns. They're hiding in wells. Everyone is running away from the Philistines. They pretty much are believing the jig is up. Saul calls the muster, gets ready to fight, but he gets impatient. He sees everyone running away. He celebrates the sacrifice himself. He doesn't wait for Samuel. He doesn't trust God. He tries to go through the religious motions, doing the sacrifice, to show that God is with him. But in fact, he's not obeying God. And so God is not with him. So everyone runs away, and by the time Saul gets to the battle, he and Jonathan together have only 600 men left. And Jonathan, so there's no way that they're going to win. They're kind of hiding there in the city, almost under the control of the Philistines. But Jonathan looks up at this garrison up in a pass, and he says, the Lord can deliver us. Let's go up and just stand in front of them and see what happens. And if they call us up, if they're that arrogant, that will be the sign from the Lord that he has given them into our hand. But if they say, wait there, and we're going to come down to you, well, then I guess the jig is up. But we're going to entrust ourselves to the Lord. And let's keep that in mind. Jonathan is saying, if we just stand there and they say the wrong thing, then we'll just stand there and wait, and they'll come and they'll enslave us or they'll kill us, and we're in the hands of the Lord. It is what it is. But the Philistines call him and his armor bearer up, so they go up and they begin the battle all by themselves, 2 men against a massive multitude. Except the Lord is with them. And that's all that is needed. So Saul, meanwhile, is back in the city. He's trying to figure out who left. He's trying to get the priests to effectively do a divination ritual, which isn't how things are supposed to work. It's not going well. Saul sees the battle's going on. The Philistines are running away, so he's like, yeah, never mind, priest. And he rushes out, and he joins in the rout of the Philistines. And by the time it ends, 10,000 Israelites have sort of come out of the caves and across the Jordan again. They've come back and are chasing the Philistines away. A great victory has been given not to Saul, but to Jonathan, because Jonathan trusted God. That's important, and we see that Jonathan is of a different sort from his father Saul, but for now, everything seems like it's okay for Saul. The victory will be attributed to him. He's the king. It will establish his rule, somewhat at least, and yet he knows that God has departed from him. He is jealous, he's angry, and he's going to become more so. We'll see some of this next time. For now, God bless you all. That's it for day 1. We'll see you for day 2.